be groovy. Comment, like, share, subscribe.
One of my most enduring memories of the 1970s was the all-pervading presence in pop culture of the paranormal. UFOs, lost cities, ancient aliens, crystals, Eastern mysticism, Bigfoot, telepathy, telekinesis, the Bermuda Triangle. The 70s had it all. It made the world seem a more mysterious and enchanted place, with secrets hidden around every corner. All of these themes were concentrated in a single, unassuming children's program that is largely forgotten except as a meme. In this episode, we're taking a deep dive into the haunting world of Land of the Lost.
Initiate sequence. Retrotron Entertainment presents
That 70s Nerd! Land of the Lost ran from 1974 to 1976 and narrated the adventures of a family trapped in an alternate dimension. This dimension was filled with dinosaurs, humanoid creatures, and a variety of unique phenomena. When it comes to the pantheon of children's television shows of the 1970s, few can match the staying power, imagination, and nostalgic value of Land of the Lost. It survives as a rich vein from memes, has been adapted into a big-budget feature film, and was remade as a series in 1991, though its initial air date spanned from 1974 to 1976. The impact of Land of the Lost on popular culture continued through the decade thanks to reruns and a surprisingly ever-expanding fan base as it is discovered by each new generation of sci-fi fans. Land of the Lost was conceived by Sid and Marty Krofft, known for their other iconic children's programs like H.R. Pufnstuf and Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. The signature style of the Canadian siblings was to create visually stimulating, slightly surreal worlds that could captivate a young audience. The Kroffts' creative vision often melded fantasy with a touch of science fiction. For Land of the Lost, the premise was deceptively simple, but provided a fertile ground for imaginative storytelling. The series showcased the adventures of the Marshall family, Father Rick and his two children, Will and Holly, after they were swept away by a massive earthquake during a rafting expedition, sending them plummeting through a portal into an alternate dimension. This unfamiliar world was a juxtaposition of the prehistoric and the alien, as the family encountered not only dinosaurs, but also the reptilian Sleestak and the pre-human Pakuni. At its core, Land of the Lost delved into themes of survival, familial bonds, and the constant interplay between fear and curiosity. In each episode, the family faced challenges and had to navigate through the land's unpredictable elements. Their adventures emphasized problem-solving, resourcefulness, and cooperation. Obvious influences were Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth and its direct clone, Edgar Rice Burroughs' Pellucidar, as well as Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. The Sleestak. These reptilian humanoids with their haunting hisses and luminescent eyes became one of the show's most memorable adversaries. Their primitive demeanor concealed a deeper intelligence and a mysterious culture. The Pakuni, a race of primate-like creatures, the Pakuni were generally friendly to the Marshalls. Chaka, in particular, was a recurrent character who formed a bond with the family. This concept goes all the way back to Journey of the Center of the Earth. Dinosaurs. These prehistoric creatures were central to the show's appeal. From the menacing T-Rex Grumpy to the more docile creatures, these dinosaurs added a sense of wonder and danger to the series. Production and visual effects. What set Land of the Lost apart from other children's shows of its era was its commitment to its own universe. Despite the constraints of a 1970s TV budget, the series employed a mix of practical effects, miniatures, and rudimentary video compositing technology called chroma key to bring its world to life. The special effects can seem dated to modern audiences, but their charm lies in the inventiveness with which they were executed. The set designs, especially the dense jungles and the mysterious Sleestack pylons, created a tangible environment that complemented the storyline. The 1970s was a period that saw an unprecedented rise in the public's interest in New Age ideologies, mysticism, UFO sightings, and paranormal phenomena. The decade was one of searching and questioning, mirrored in the arts, literature, and even children's television shows like Land of the Lost. Let's examine some of the New Age and mystical threads in Land of the Lost. Holistic universe and interconnected realities. One of the defining traits of New Age ideology is the belief in an interconnected universe where various realities coexist. The very premise of Land of the Lost, with its alternate dimension that seemed to blend various eras and creatures, mirrors this thought. This dimension is not just a place, but a convergence of times and energies, mystical creatures and symbolism. The idea of reptilians influencing human evolution might seem like a 21st century idea descended from David Icke, but it actually goes as far back as the 70s and was even the plot of an episode of Kolchak the Night Stalker, The Sentry. The reptilian humanoid Sleestacks, created by David Gerrold, who also wrote the Star Trek episode The Trouble with Tribbles, can be seen as representations of ancient or otherworldly wisdom. In many ancient cultures and New Age beliefs, reptiles, especially serpents, are seen as carriers of knowledge and cosmic secrets. While the Sleestacks were often antagonists, they were not purely evil, mirroring the nuanced view of spirituality where entities can contain both light and dark aspects. UFO and paranormal elements. The 1970s saw an uptick in UFO sightings and a fascination with the unknown. This interest permeated pop culture, including Land of the Lost. The Pylons. The presence of the pylons in the series, mysterious objects that controlled time, weather, and other elements of the environment, resonate with the theories of stargates and other advanced technologies either given or stolen from extraterrestrial visitors to Earth. The pylons are certainly related to Eric van Daniken's theories about the Egyptian pyramids being far older than archaeologists believe, and somehow tied into alien technology. Some of the pylons' applications are weather control, opening interdimensional portals, imprisoning psychic essences, control of the lunar orbits of Land of the Lost's moons. The black pylon controls and regulates the power of the sun. And don't forget the flying pylons called skylons, which may be living and sentient machines. Crystals have always been an integral part of the New Age and paranormal subcultures. Each of the pylons contain a matrix table filled with crystals, serving as the power source and aspect modifiers to the Land of the Lost. Nearly all pylons have a hand-sized tetrahedral key projecting from about 2/3 of the way up one side, which when turned result in a diamond-shaped opening to materialize and provide a small doorway into it. Apparently, some pylon keys can be removed from a pylon by shining reflected sunlight on them, and they can be replaced by pressing the key back to the pylon's surface. The interior of the pylons is an extra-dimensional black void with no discernible boundaries or surfaces, and is significantly larger inside than the pylon appears from the outside. The concept of wormholes, time loops, and dimensional shifts were all themes explored in Land of the Lost. The way the family in Land of the Lost gets trapped, and their constant quest to find a way back home, touches upon these phenomena. The show toys with the idea that there are realms and realities beyond human comprehension, a core tenet of the paranormal worldview. While Land of the Lost did weave in mystical and New Age elements, it did so without completely sidelining science. The show often attempted to provide pseudo-scientific explanations for the phenomena the characters encountered. This is reflective of the era's attempts to find a meeting ground between spirituality and science. Dinosaurs, a crucial part of the series, represent a link between the known and the unknown. They act as anchors, grounding the series in something familiar while allowing for explorations into the esoteric. While aimed at children, the show was not afraid to pose larger questions about existence, time, and the nature of reality. This mirrors the broader 1970s fascination with big questions, spurred by the New Age movements and a growing interest in quantum physics and its possible spiritual implications. Land of the Lost is a quintessential product of its time, born out of a society's fascination with the intersections of the mystical, the paranormal, and the scientific. It tapped into the ethos of the 1970s, encapsulating the wonder, the fear, and the quest for understanding that defined the decade. Through its stories, creatures, and the alternate universe, it reflected the collective imagination of a generation eager to explore beyond the known. Land of the Lost was not merely another Saturday morning show. It became a cultural touchstone for kids like me growing up in the mid-70s. Its mix of adventure, family dynamics, and the ever-present sense of wonder made it a must-watch. Merchandising, from toys to lunchboxes, further amplified its presence in the zeitgeist. Its appeal wasn't limited to children alone. The complex storylines, combined with the episodic cliffhangers, ensured that even adults found something worth tuning in for. After its initial 3-season run, Land of the Lost went into syndication. Reruns ensured that its influence stretched beyond its original air dates, capturing a new audience and cementing its status as a cult classic. It's all too easy to laugh off Land of the Lost. Its outdated, wholesome tone, low-budget visual effects, and Saturday morning level acting. But that would be to overlook its importance as a pop cultural artifact from a more imaginative and open-minded time, as well as the impressively ambitious world building of the series. One thing I know for sure, I'm a fan for life. Thanks for watching. Please think of helping me get to 500 subscribers so I can unlock YouTube Shorts and community posts and give you more groovy 70s content.